A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this collective message. So for all the people who are twin flames or star seeds, light workers, this is something that I want to talk about. Actually, there are two things I'm going to talk about here. Number one is that everything is predestined. Okay? Fate. You want to call it fate, you want to call it destiny, you want to call it prarabdh. In Hindi, we have the word prarabdh. It's already pre-written. Even when gods and goddesses reincarnate on earth, they don't play with fate. They accept the fate. They surrender to it. Okay? And your patterns and your programming is based on it. And these are the two things I'm going to talk about. In fact, when it's time for change of destiny, now why do people want to change their destiny or their fate? Is when they are done with it, when they have suffered enough, or when the time is changing, automatically things will happen and you'll get some way. Everything is predestined. Fate, your destiny, your prarabdh is already written in the stars. And we cannot change it. We don't have the control to change it. Because we already pre-decided. Before coming here to earth, we choose our parents. We choose our mother and father. First, a child chooses the parent, mother and father. Then, there are other relationships that you choose. Who will do what in your life, who will play what role in your life. You're going to choose all of that. So, you have already decided the story as well, that this is going to be my story. Based on what you have done or what you have not done, you have a story. When a soul is coming to earth, the soul is not this emotional or this logical. The soul thinks, my doggo is eating biscuits, so there is some sound. I don't know if you can hear it or not. But the soul has a story, and for the soul, it's an interesting story. It will have riddles, it will have mazes, it will have challenges. Without challenges, the story cannot be completed. It will have plots, it will have subplots, it will have certain situations, things play out. And soul decides everything along with source. Now, whatever I'm saying, it's not easy to say all this. So don't think I'm very easily saying it. I have reached to this conclusion personally also after going through many challenges, after going through a lot of suffering, misery, which I think whosoever is going to say all this would have to go through. When I was very young, I remember my master say this. I used to go for his discourses and I was in school. I was really unhappy being in school. As a child, I didn't want to be in school. And a lot of people, when I hear them talk, they say, oh, I want to go back to my childhood and I want to do this and I want to do that. I think the best thing that happened in my childhood was meeting my master. Which I understand now. Why meeting my master, why having a guru is so important. I get it now. So that was the best thing that happened to me. Other than that, there were lots and lots of experiences. I do not wish anyone else should also have them. But still, today I'm like, everything is good. Because when you unravel things, when you understand things, even the worst experiences you've had as a child or while growing up, they make sense. At that time, they were not making sense. After 10 years, they were not making sense. But when you unravel the mysteries and when you understand what your role is, what your job is, why you're here, when you have the epiphanies and the glimmers, everything makes sense. So patience is the key. Patience is extremely important on this journey. Without patience, there's no fun. If you really want to have fun, you gotta have patience. You gotta stop being a complaint box. Because I know a lot of people, they are always complaining. Always. 24/7 they are complaining. and they are the most miserable people, those who are complaining. In my Hindi channel, on my Hindi channel, I spoke about one example of a beggar, and this beggar, he begs every day. Usually when you see beggars on the street, you can see how miserable they are. But this beggar has 3 apartments, has a luxury car, has a driver, private driver he has hired. He begs every day. And I'm not in favor of begging. But we have so many bhikshuks and monks also. This beggar probably has some kind of attitude, I don't know what. It's not a job that I will recommend to anyone. But he's like for me, he was like a case study. So I was doing the case study of this beggar, and I was shocked to get this knowledge that he has all these things in his possession, and he is this really satisfied person. But currently he is going through problems because the police has filed some case on him saying that his wealth is not legitimate or it's not genuine. Although I think begging is a personal choice, you should not do it. But begging is a personal choice. However, there are great teachers and masters also who eventually, a lot of them become bhikshuks, and they, go from one house to house, and they also have some rules. Like you cannot beg for more than 5 houses. You cannot repeat the same house again. You cannot form friendships with people who give you stuff. So this beggar is not a beggar. He's actually a businessman. In many ways, he's from the job or business of begging money from others. He created an empire, and not only he has 3 apartments and a luxury car and a driver and this and that, for which normal people also have to work hard. He also gives people money on interest. So whatever he earns every day, be it 200 rupees, 300 rupees, 1000 rupees, whichever amount he gets, he deposits it or saves it somewhere. He put it on fixed deposit, and then he's also giving money to people on interest, and then from there also he's earning. Because he's probably really enjoying it, because probably he's having a great time doing it, and he has put his mind into it and not seeing it as a bad thing, is what my point is. Now, again, I will repeat the third time that I do not recommend it to anyone. But the example I gave is, we can learn from everyone. We can learn from the narcissist. We can learn from the psychos. We can learn from the miserable people. We can learn from anybody in simple ways. Like, we have the discernment that this is what we should do and this is what we should not do. If someone is extremely complaining, complaining extremely. If someone is complaining all the time, you meet this person, let's say you meet this person, every time you talk to this person, they're just complaining. Like, I remember once, I was talking to someone, this guy was on a very high position in the corporate world. I mean, I was also in one of the senior management, so that's why we got talking. So I would ask him that what type of people you don't want to hire and how do you filter it? Because I was the person who used to, as a corporate trainer, I used to train people. And sometimes I used to get good people to train, and sometimes I would get some strange characters. Even that was my challenge, how to convert these people into employees that can benefit the process, the operations process and the floor wherever they were working. So he would tell me that if I speak to people during the interviews and later on scanning, or because we used to remove some people from training as well, and the HR would do the final round. So he is obviously not going to directly interview, but he was coaching his team members. So this guy told me that people who are constantly complaining, those are the people I do not like to hire. And I have certain questions. I ask them specific questions which brings out that nature. So the one who has no complaints or very less complaints usually doesn't even complain. Usually they would focus on the growth and progress aspect of any place, anywhere they go. They would say, yeah, I want to do this and I want to do that, and that's why I want to move, or that's why I want to shift, and that's why I want to be there or be here. And they're more focused on solutions, and they're more focused on their self progress and self development and things like that. Why do you want to do it? Why are you trying to look for a new job and you giving this interview? They would say, oh, I am doing it because I want to grow and I want to do this and I want to learn this and I've learned all of this. So even at their past, they're not looking like, oh yeah, you know what, it was a bad place and I just feel this way or that way. So at this point, I was pretty young and I started working at a very young age, started working literally at 15. And so I grew much faster than others. And thanks to my father was a man ahead of his time, and he got me homeschooled when he saw that I was struggling with certain things, which was great mercy of God. I also prayed to God at that time because there was no way to express myself. How can a child talk about the education system? So I was homeschooled since ninth standard, pretty much since 8th, but ninth was when I was going to school, plus I was homeschooled, and then I was homeschooled even more intensely. And then we moved to the mountains, and I think that was like the best year. Those 2 years were the best years of my life, of my education, which changed everything. Okay. So I highly recommend homeschooling, but I also recommend it for those parents who understand their kids, because kids go through a lot in today's challenging environment, and that shapes their personality. And anyway, maybe this also is a part of destiny that you're hearing it, and someone can benefit from it. So destiny plays a very, very important role. Fate plays a very, very important role. And let me tell you one more thing before you start making comparisons with someone and start feeling bad about your life and start saying, oh, that person is so happy, because your misery actually comes from the fact that people are making comparisons. When you compare your life with someone else, there will be jealousy, there will be envy, there will be pain that you cannot explain. Your thinking, whosoever it is, and it's not some judgment, it happens to a lot of people. Most people think that someone's life is better than yours and they have no challenges and they have no problems, but you have all the problems. That is not true. Every single person, as I said, even when God reincarnates on this planet, when Lakshmi ji came as Sita, and it's also said that Radha ji is also reincarnation of Lakshmi ji, and Sri Ram is a reincarnation of Vishnu. In fact, before Sri Ram, there are so many other avatars that come, and some are here just for a short while. Initial avatars are for a very short while, but then we have the Vamana, then we have Ram, we have Krishna, so on and so forth. There were certain avatars of Vishnu who had to live a normal human life, just you and me. And Sri Ram is one of that, because he came with 12 kalas and he took a very challenging role. So if Vishnu and Lakshmi are reincarnating on earth, they are not also having it easy here. They are not, and they're probably having it a lot more tougher than us. When we talk about Christianity, when we talk about Jesus, although Christianity is not how it started as Gnostics. So when Jesus, that's not even his real name as per Gnostics, but okay, for the sake of going ahead without any confusions, when he came to this planet, he also had a very tough life right from birth till he got resurrected. So some people say that if Jesus is God, then Jesus is King and Jesus is God, then why did he have to go through crucifixion? Why could a God not save himself? Or why God, if he's Son of God, why God is watching his son getting crucified? We are more focused on crucifixion. Lots of people are, not me. I've always been focused on the resurrection, because that gave me, like, I was always awed and I was in wonder, like, wow, all of the stuff he goes through. There's a very nice movie also on resurrection, which I can't remember right now, but there was a time when I watched a lot of documentaries on stigmata, and I watched some documentaries on crucifixion and resurrection. So I feel that resurrection is what matters more than crucifixion. So Jesus also had to go through this process, which is also sort of very similar to the phoenix bird story, rising from the ashes. So if you are doing inner work, if you are aware about your patterns, if you are aware about your programming, you have to learn to be patient. If you can do that, then your destiny will change. Then you have suffered enough, you have been clearing your karma, or for whatever reason you're here on this planet, that you will understand. And then you become an inspiration for others, you become a role model. Now, this does not mean your challenges will completely vanish, but then, yes, because you're in more awareness and you're observing more and you're realizing more, you are looking at different perspectives, you are not going to be the same person. And this is also an act of God. This is also great mercy and great grace of masters. Without the power of a guru, without the power of master, it is not possible to do this. And that will come from surrender, that will come from discernment, that will come from accepting your destiny, that will come from being humble. Arrogance does not help. Now, I'm not saying all of us are arrogant, but we don't understand the word arrogance, we don't understand the word ego. Ego is a very tricky word because it has been spoken about in so many ways that people get confused with ego. What is ego? Some people think, oh, being egotistical means you're a very bad person. No. Being egotistical can also mean you're a miserable person and you've been suffering a lot. Because ego means attachment to the physical identity, to the 3D identity, huge attachment. A person doesn't want to let go their victim mentality. You tell them, don't be like this, don't act like this, don't behave like this, it's not going to suit you. But they cannot let it go. They're going to be angry and mad and upset for days. They're going to accuse others, they're going to blame others, they're going to be jealous of others, they're going to make comparisons with others, but they will not let go of that identity. Why? They are not going to look for ways. Even if you tell them, okay, this is going to work for you, they don't have faith. They don't have patience. They want it right now. I want it right now. And then they're going to be cranky and they will throw tantrums, which is not going to hurt others, which is going to hurt them the most. Others will be more like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this person. Eventually, that's how they will behave. Like, I don't want to deal with this person. It's better to stay away from this person. It's better to avoid this person. Now, what you need to understand realistically is that it can be a frustrating process. This whole inner work journey may not always be very great. Like some people say, some people when they look at spirituality and this and that, they go like, oh, I want to be a spiritual person. I want to do yoga. I want to do meditation. I want to do this. I want to do that. But then it's going to show you the reality. Reality, these are your flaws. These are your karmas. These are your negative attitudes. This is your behavior. This is your identity that you need to shift from. You want to be happy, you have to fix this identity issue. So it's frustrating. Nobody wants to know that. Nobody wants to hear that. Everybody wants magic, a magic wand. And I know there's something. There's magic also. Universe is magical also. Fate can show you magic. Destiny can show you magic. But the key word is faith. The key word is acceptance. The key word is surrender. The key word is discernment. These are all keywords. And the keyword also is, where do you apply discernment? Discernment is when you act, then you apply discernment. So it's not always like, you're going to be sitting in one corner and with your eyes closed. That is required so that if in a day, 30 minutes to 1 hour, you can sit straight and you can just not move and remain still. That's not the only time you meditate or you observe. You do it in the remaining 23 hours as well. 23 hours, why I say it? Because there will be a time when you will also be doing it in your sleep. You will be so aware, you become so aware that even when you are having a bad dream or a nightmare, or let's say you were not aware at that time, but as soon as you wake up, you had a dream, unrealistic dreams you have, or nightmare you have, or some kind of very overtly impossible thing you see, whatever you see, but you have the awareness that this is just a dream. This was just a dream. Some people are so great in observation that even when they're having dream like visions, or they know that this is a dream, this is not reality. Good or bad doesn't matter. So they don't attach with it, they don't associate with it, they do not allow it, they do not let it take good or bad decisions. I mean, why I say good or bad? Because sometimes you think you're doing something good, but it may not be. Then those kind of people do not take decisions based on that. However, if let's say something is very positive, very uplifting, something has been given to you from source, you would know that as well. So it's not bad to reach that space where you say to yourself that I have suffered enough becoming this person or being this person, and I do not want to suffer anymore. And please show me the path. This is a person who is humble. Why I spoke about arrogance a while back? Arrogance is more like everybody is wrong, life is messed up, this can never change, this is all bullshit, abusing, accusing. And it's not that you can't do it. I'm not judging you for doing it. I'm not even judging myself if I've done it. But then we learn from it, that this is not going to lead to anything. This is not going to help me. A lot of misery and suffering also happens because looking at other people, we become too hard on ourselves. We become too tough on ourselves. And because of this comparison mode, when it gets activated, we want to manifest, certain things that we see other people have it, and we probably feel, oh, they are much happy or they're in much better place than I am. So let me basically do the same. Or if you're not able to do it, because it's not easy to do just about anything or everything, then you're going to say that, why don't I have it? And then you're going to punish yourself for not having it. So that's why we talk about gratitude. That's why we talk about acceptance of your story. Whatever your story is, whatever your life is, if you just simply accept that this is my life, this is my story, this is what universe has given to me, and I have to believe, I have to have faith that this is the best for me, without losing my cool, without going crazy. And I think some of the great teachers have gone through it, that kind of feeling as well. So in my opinion, nothing is bad, as long as, how they say, all that's well, all's well that ends well. How they say it, this statement is very powerful. If it is all going into the right direction, let's say you're feeling bad, let's say you're crying, you're crazy, but then you have, after 5 days, 6 days or 10 days of it, finally have an aha moment, you finally realize, you finally have a glimmer, or you have multiple glimmers, then it will make sense to you. Okay, this is why it happened, this is why I had to go through this. Even a small thing. And I always say, I made that one video also the other day, where I was talking about how you need to not go too far. Why there is so much misery? Because you're going too far. What will happen after 2 years? What will happen after next year? What will happen if I don't do this? What will happen if I don't get this? What will happen if I don't achieve it? What will happen if I don't earn money? Somebody was telling me, if I do this, then I will have a problem next month. Yes, you will have a problem next month, because you're going to manifest it, because you're thinking about it, that I will have a problem next month, I will have a problem. You will have a problem next month. Whatever you think, you will make it happen, because you're focusing on that energy. The pressure people put on themselves it's actually futile. The comparison, the pressure, the pain they put themselves into is futile. And if you're watching it, if you're watching this video, then I will come back to the same point that if you don't overthink about the future, what will happen 10 days later, what will happen next week. I mean, I've been in situations, how I got to know this. I was just chanting my Ram Naam. I call him, not him, I would not even say him or her, because his mother and father energy both, my Ram. So when I'm chanting my Ram, there have been times when I was under a situation where I felt there's no way out from this. No way. But because I was chanting this mantra, I don't know what shifted, I don't know what happened, how the things changed or what happened, but magically things changed. Now you can apply the same energy otherwise also. Like if you're anxious about future or if you're thinking too much about the past, you can always tell yourself, if it's the past, then you can tell yourself that, well, this is not going to happen again because this has already happened. Past is gone. And why am I worrying about the future? Why am I worrying about 1 week later, 10 days later, a year later, what's going to happen? It's so far right now. This moment matters. If you can remind yourself that right now everything is fine, the next moment also is okay because the next moment will come very fast, then I don't need to worry about my fate or destiny or anything.